I have here 4 lines and I want to find the gradient or the slope of each line. So let's have a look at line A. Because we don't have coordinates, we don't have XY coordinates, but only we have a squared paper. So we can use it to find the gradient by using rise over run. So we're going to move up. It's rise here. What? Can you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And run is what? Run 1. So what is the gradient here? The gradient, it's rise 5 and run 1. I said that the gradient is rise over run, which is 5 over 1 equals 5. That's the slope of the first line. So the slope equals 5. What about line B? Take 2 distinct points like this point and this point, because I want to count all numbers, all squares. So here, rise what? Rise 1. Rise is 1. And be careful, if we're talking about rise, the rise here up is positive and down is negative. That's the rise. And the run. We have 2 directions for the run, positive direction to the right and negative direction to the left. Here the rise is 1. Here it's the rise is 1. And run what? 1, 2, 3. But in the negative direction, it will be -3. So the gradient here is 1 over -3 equals -1 over 3. If you are going to take this point, for instance, and you said the rise will be changed into 2. Yes, I know. The run here is 2. The rise is 2 here. But the run is going to be what? It's going to be -6. There with me? The rise here, if you are going to take this point to this point, you will rise 2 and run -6 in this direction. Why I did say -6? Because we are moving in the left side. So the gradient here is 2 over -6, the same, -1 over 3. What about line D? Take 2 distinct points like this point and this point. Okay. And the rise here is what? The rise is 2. And the run is going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the positive direction. So what is the slope here? The slope is the rise over the run. I said rise, and the rise is 2. And the run is 5. So it's 2 over 5. What about the last line? The last line here, we are going to take like this point and this point. Okay, and rise here is what? Is 1, 2. That's the rise, 2. And what is the run? The run is -1 because we are moving in this direction. So what is the slope of this line? The slope equals 2 over -1, which is -2. As you see here, we have positive slopes, we have negative slopes. If the line here, like look at the line, the red line, it's a positive. And this line here, the brown line, it's a positive. And we have here the black line and the green line, both of them are negative. So here it's negative slope and here it's negative slope. So if the line is making an angle like this angle here, is making an acute angle with the positive direction of x-axis. Here it's x-axis. That's this line here is x-axis. And here it's y-axis. Pay attention. If the line is making an acute angle with the positive direction of x-axis, I'm talking about the positive direction of x-axis. This is the positive direction of x-axis. If this angle is an acute angle, this angle is an acute angle. So the slope is going to be positive. Why I said positive? Because if you are moving here, the rise is positive, and the run is positive. So if the angle here is acute, the angle with the positive direction of x-axis, pay attention, this is the positive direction of x-axis. If this angle is an acute angle, so the slope is positive. The slope is positive. Why again the slope is positive? Because the slope is the rise over the run, and the run is positive divided by positive, so it's a positive. What if this line taking this direction here, like this line here? Pay attention. If this angle here is an obtuse angle, so the gradient is going to be negative. Why is that? This angle is an obtuse angle. Why the gradient is positive? Is negative, sorry. Because the gradient or the slope is the rise over the run. And here, if you are moving from this point, for instance, here the rise is positive, but the run is going to be negative. I don't care about the number of units, but the gradient or the slope is going to be what? Positive divided by negative, so it's negative. So if the line makes an obtuse angle with the positive direction of x-axis with this direction here, this angle was an obtuse angle, this angle is an obtuse angle, so the slope is negative. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we have a line. This line is parallel to x-axis, and I want to get the slope of this line. So we can take 2 points like these 2 points, -2 and 2, and another point like 3 and 2. And you know that the slope is the change in y over the change in x. So the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so the slope here is going to be 2 minus 2 over 3 minus -2, which is 0 over 5 equals 0. So the slope of any line parallel to x-axis, the slope of any line parallel to x-axis equals what? Equals 0. The slope of the line which is parallel to x-axis equals 0. Here we have a line, and this line is parallel to y-axis, and I want to get the slope of this line. So the slope, as you know, it's the change in y over the change in x, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So here, what is the slope? The slope is 3 minus 1 over 4 minus 4. So it's 2 over 0. We couldn't divide by 0. 2 over 0 is a math error. 2 over 0 is undefined value. So what is the slope of the straight line parallel to y-axis? It's undefined value. Undefined value. Okay. So we have studied in the slope. We have 4 positions for the slope. The first position is that line taking this direction, which makes an acute angle with this direction. I mean this direction, which makes an acute angle with this direction. This is x-axis. So because some students get confused and say, Mister, this angle is obtuse angle. I didn't ask about this angle. I'm asking about this angle with this direction here, not this direction. So this angle is acute angle. So the slope is positive. And if the line here, if the line makes an obtuse angle, like this line here. So what is the slope here in this case? The slope here, this angle is an obtuse angle. So the slope here is negative. The slope is negative. And if the line parallel to x-axis, so what is the slope here? The slope is 0. And if the line makes, or the line is parallel to y-axis, this line here is parallel to y-axis. The slope is undefined value. Did you get it?
Yeah. Great.
Here we have a line, and this line makes an angle theta with the positive direction of x-axis. That's the positive direction of x-axis. Here, that's the positive direction of x-axis. And this angle is theta. What if I asked you about the slope of the line? You know that the slope is the change in y over the change in x. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's right. Or we can say the slope is the rise over run. The slope is the rise over run, as you know. What if I asked about tan theta? You know, tan from trigonometry is equal to what? Is equal to y2, the opposite here, over the adjacent. And the opposite to theta is y2 minus y1, and the adjacent is x2 minus x1. So what is the tan theta? Is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or we can say rise over run. That's the tan theta. So if we compare these two rules, the slope and the tan theta, if one, the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and also tan theta is the same. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can get the slope if we know the angle theta. So the slope is equal to what? Tan theta. The slope equals tan theta. What is the theta? Is the angle between what? Is the angle between the line and the positive direction of x-axis. Theta is the angle between the line and the positive direction of x-axis. So how can we get the slope of the line? We can get the slope of the line if we have this format, y equals to x plus 1, for instance, or y equals mx plus 1, or mx plus c. So here, the coefficient of x here, the coefficient of x represents the slope. So we call it, we can find the slope directly here in this case, y equals to x plus 1, so the slope is 1. The slope is 2, sorry, and the y-intercept, this number is 1. Look here, if we have an equation like this one, 3y minus 5x equals 2. What is the slope? In this case, we have to modify, we have to write this equation in this format, y equals something. So we have to write y, we should write y in a side, and the other term is in the other side. So here we have 3y, we move the minus 5x to this side, to the next side. So it's going to be what? Plus 5x here, 5x plus 2, then divided by 3, here divided by 3, and here divided by 3. Cancel 3 and 3, you are left with what? Y. That's what I need to get y. So y is equal to what? 5 over 3. X plus 2 over 3, that's the slope. So the slope in this case is the coefficient of x. Or if we want to get the slope directly in one step, in this case, if we have the term of x and the term of y in one side, both of them in a side here, we can say this rule, we can apply this rule, negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y. Negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y. Here, 3y minus 5x equals 2, as you see here, y and x in a side. So what is the slope? Is negative coefficient of x, negative 5 over coefficient of y, which is 3, 5 over 3. Also, we can get the slope by using rise over run, like this line here. Rise here is 1 and the run here is -3. So the slope here is 1 over -3. And if we have 2 points, 2 coordinates here, we can get the slope. It's the change in y, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what is the slope here in this case? It's 7 minus 4 over 2 minus 3. So 7 minus 4 is 3 over -1. is equal to what? -3. I started by 7, so start by 2. I said 7 minus 4, so say 2 firstly, then 3, -3. And if we have an angle theta like this angle, and be careful that the angle must be between the line, and the positive direction of x-axis. Here, it's the positive direction of x-axis, and here it's the line. So I mean this angle. So in this case, tan theta, the slope is equal to tan theta, tan 135 equals -1. That's it. Did you get, Omar?